Hello, good morning, happy new year. How are you all doing? I'm super excited to be joining you today. It's such an awesome day, amazing day, beautiful day. Wherever you're joining me from, my name is Praise Forward. And like you know, I am your favorite family life strategist, the best that exists, the best that will ever be. And I say that without apologies, anyways. So today I want to just I'll start having a conversation because there is a whole lot that goes on, and a lot of the people in the younger generation do not know, and they're not aware. And there were mistakes some of us made while we're on campus that we must, as people, maybe we're a bit older, present perspectives that can help people. Because, I mean, as someone who is a family life coach and I've functioned in this sector, literally redefined the sector in Nigeria for the last 24 years before I moved to the US. I'm going to take this session from what happened when I was on campus. So I got in university in 1995, and some of my colleagues are on this call, and they can bear me witness. I can see some of them already writing about it. And in those days, I was in a fellowship called Christian Union Knifers. My fellowship is the kind of fellowship that never mixed with any other person. We never mixed with people. Why? Because in a bid to protect us and shield us from maybe carnality, we were also shielded from exposure. And so a whole lot of us, all we thought about was how to make heaven. That was all we thought about. Our life was triangular. Go from your room to fellowship to campus, back to fellowship, back to your room. That was the life we lived. So many of us didn't actually have the knowledge of how to build a relationship. Now, I was a bit different. And what helped me was the fact that from year two, even though I was in the accounting department, I was the kind of guy that everyone kind of came to. My mates came to me if they wanted to ask a girl out, and the babes came to me if they wanted to say yes or no to the guy. So naturally, I just found myself as an emergency counselor or licensed counselor. And so I spent a lot of my time on the school library, reading what's it called? Books on psychology and family life. And then, I mean, that was my life till I left school, and I had to work with the legendary Bimbo Dukoya, who I consider to be the finest brain on relationship that the nation Nigeria ever produced. And so there was something that happened way back on campus. We always look for the new rev. We call it rev, which was, I mean, as Christians, we were looking for the latest revelation, right? And latest revelation was we wanted God to show us something new, right? Not necessarily so that we could live it out or live by it, but so that we can have something to share. So we were preaching not to leave, we were mostly preaching to teach other people, right? And so there were things we had not handled, that we had not fully touched, that we taught. And so I'll give you examples. There were messages around ladies should not wear weave on, and there was no excuse the sisters gave that was enough. As far as we're concerned, that was kind of there were messages around ladies should not wear trousers. And so, I mean, we humiliated a lot of sisters way back, because we consider them to be kind of, as a matter of fact, because my school was in Ado Ekiti, ladies who actually had cars, were sometimes not considered enough good for leadership, no matter their spirituality, because they were just living their life. So we would rather use the ones who had natural ear. Those were the kind of, I mean, what I saw. I couldn't understand that. Now, fast forward, we usually will have these sessions where people will come in and they will invite guest speakers to come and teach, especially the ones we call relationship weekends. And so there was something significant that happened to almost everyone in my fellowship, especially the ones who really believed what was shared on the pulpit, hook, line, and sinker. And that was the concept of the best friends don't make best lovers, right? And that was the thing. So the concept was taught in a way that wasn't balanced. And it was the fact that if you wanted to get married, you needed to go pray. And when you pray, God will instruct you and direct someone to you. And so literally, if you were in the executive, once you left executive, all your prayer point was about God. Who would I want to marry? And so we didn't call it asking out or something. You call it you received someone. Right. And so for those of you in the charismatic movement who have been in the SEO movement, you understand what I'm talking about. So you never even say you wanted to go and ask a lady out. You will receive them prayerfully, and then you go talk to your president, who will talk to them, then they'll bring you together, right? So we didn't consider what our parents felt about it. We didn't consider our worldview, our exposure. We didn't consider our needs. We didn't consider chemistry. We didn't consider a whole lot of things, right? And so there were people, and I mean, because I'm not permitted at liberty to share personal examples when I've not been given permission, but I know enough of what happened. And because people talk to me regularly, I mean, I think I sit with more clients than the average person, average counselor, average coach in Nigeria, because a lot of the high-end people love to talk to me, right? And so something began to happen. So you had these people, maybe they knew from childhood, they were good friends, brother, sister, got born again, and then, and they've been friends. Everybody knew that these people, they understood each other. They would fight themselves, abuse each other, yab themselves, and make up. It was, I mean, their differences was not strong enough to break the bond, because it was a bond that was built on pure friendship, right? And so there were so many of those kind of people whom, ideally everybody knew that these people just understood each other. They understood themselves. I mean, and then that wave came of, don't marry your friend. You can't marry your friend. Best of friendship don't make best of couples. And so based on the revelation from the pulpit, many of those people did not consider their friends when it came to the choice of marriage, because what was playing in their head was best of friendship do not make best of lovers. Now we know friendship is not enough it's not the only thing that makes a marriage work. But friendship is critical, because a lot of people don't even understand what friendship means. I mean, maybe if you have not been blessed with the gift of proper friends, you may have a problem with this concept. But I've had good friends in my life, male, female. I've enjoyed the beauty of friendship. One of the things you need to understand about friendship is your friends actually care about you. They're true friends. And I'm not talking about fair weather friends. People mistake acquaintances for friendship. And I'm going to do maybe an in-depth session on the power of friendship, because I believe the critical ingredient that is missing, in what we call marriage, that is, I believe, the most critical ingredient that is responsible for a lot of marital breakup is that concept of friendship, because people have started skipping it. And so people just go directly from acquaintanceship to relationship. And so then they get, so I thought you were a friend. No, you don't assume friendship. Friendship is value-based and is built over time. In fact, we say that friendship is the crucible in which great relationships are forged. Your friend loves you regardless of your weakness. Your friend seeks to help you improve your weakness. Your friends never drift away from you, and you don't intentionally go ahead to hurt your friend. In fact, with friendship, you can discuss every, and I have a lot of people on this call who we know are best of friends, who rebelled against that teaching way back. I mean, Shola and Nikki, I'm sure they're somewhere here. They rebelled against that teaching, and they were good friends on campus. And you can see their marriages is one of the marriages that you look at and you're like, wow, these people are just having a cruise and they're just enjoying themselves. Now, so what began to happen was this. So people left people with their friends, people that they naturally sync with, understood each other, people were not strangers to them, people they loved genuinely, right? And that they didn't have to pretend with. They left those people to go marry, the person they received. The person they received is a total stranger that they don't understand the background, the nuances, the culture of that person, right? And so fast forward into a couple of years, some of those people began to have issues, right? And so, in fact, it took God for some of them to not get into an affair with the person they genuinely love, because every crisis in their marriage, they went back to this person to talk to. This is my bestie, and then you began to ask yourself, why didn't you marry your bestie? Because in fact, the bestie became the best friend, or not even, it doesn't have to be a friend. That friend became an issue, because this new person considered that person as a threat, and so people had to move away from themselves, and a lot of crises happened. Now, by that, I'm not saying that if you marry a stranger, it's not going to work, right? Human beings can decide that we're going to live together, we're going to work together. But you see, you're going to take a longer time to build a united front, because one, you just met yourself, and so you are going to be trying to figure out, who is this person? What are the nuances? How do they get angry? How do I respond to their anger? Now, contrast that with someone you've known who has been your friend. There are no surprises with proper friendship, right? Because you just know that, see, there's nothing I can't tell you. Even if I mess up, I can tell you, right? And I know that you understand me enough and you love me enough to stick with me. And by that, I'm not saying taking advantage of people. And I'm not talking about people getting into affairs or all those kind of things. right? And so one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, and data, someone who has worked in this field for 24 years, data consistently shows that the best marriages are built among proper friends. In fact, my new book was built on a research of 25 couples who had done 40 years to 65 years of marriage. And I interviewed every one of them. And I realized that the number one ingredient they pointed at by observing them, by interviewing them, was the fact that they were friends. They knew each other, the families knew each other, before they ever got married. And these were marriages that stood the test of time. It wasn't the era of SU. This predated SU, right? And so from a data point of view, because what people are saying is that, nations that people marry their friend, they did not marry their friends. If you say that, okay, the marriage crashed, so we're not friends. Because if you understand friendship is deeper than brotherhood, if you understand it. In fact, Jesus at some point said, I no longer call you brother, I call you friend, right? And so if you understand the concept of friendship, you realize how deep it is, because there is no pretense. That's why we recommend friendship before people get into love relationship, because in love relationship, pretense begins to start. I don't want to show this part of me. If I have the potential to be angry, I'm trying to hide that, contain that, then people get married and they are surprised that someone is eating them, right? But in friendship, there is nothing about we're going to get married in the future, so there's nothing to hide. And you can literally test this person over a period of time. Now, so this is the era we are in right now, and a lot of new revelations are coming up to say, hey, the Bible, there's no place in the Bible that says marry your friend, right? Love who you marry. And I've heard that. There's nothing wrong with that totally. And then it goes further to talk about, your husband is your Lord. Now, that statement in the Bible, now, I don't consider myself as a biblical scholar. I'm just a Christian. People need to understand that marriage is first of all cultural, and that the Bible is heavy on the Jewish culture. Not everything in the Bible is actually the things that God outrightly said. People need to understand that. So Abraham did not come out of an isolated state. Abraham came from a culture, Jewish culture. If you understand, the ancient Jewish culture is a patriarchal culture, where it's almost as if the women don't get to be seen, right? And so Abraham is like a lord, and that's the way they say. Now, that culture is not the current culture. It's not our culture. I've studied almost every nation and their marital culture. It's part of my research work, right? And I'm amazed at what I see. For example, there are 6 cultures in the world where women are the ones who can do husband. They are even the ones who can marry more men, right? 7 cultures in the world. In fact, there's a culture where a woman can marry 3 husbands, and the husband can take shifts to be husband to the woman. Now, and so people need to understand the nuances of culture. And so if you don't separate the Jewish culture from what God expressly says, you will superimpose that as a revelation, as a rhema, and people will just take it in, even when that is not their reality. And so people would say, oh, your husband is your Lord. I don't know how many of you, see your husband as a Lord. Why would I want to be Lord over my wife when we're actually friends? When my wife disagrees with me on a number of things, and I don't see that as disrespectful, because she's my wife and she has a different opinion to me. And so we're able to resolve those issues and have talk around it. I've been married for 18 years. We've never had a day that we went to bed without resolving issues or having to talk, right? It doesn't mean that it's all rosy, but we are able to resolve issues. And divorce never comes up on the front burner, right? I'm terribly flawed in so many ways. She's flawed in her own way, right? But we understand, a whole lot of things that makes it easy for us to live together. And I know a whole lot of people in that space, right? And so one of the things I always say to people is that balance. And that's why maybe I love people like Pastor Koju, because they are balanced with what they teach. Like when you make some statement, people just run, especially a generation that is crying for latest Rema, they run and then they go and do. So someone has a good friend who has good values. As a matter of fact, the other thing we were taught way back is that, because you are in CUNIFS, then we saw Anglicans as non-born again. We saw Catholics as they are not Christian. We saw select people as non-Christian. So we were all in the name of teaching this kingdom thing. And so there were people whose soulmate, I'm using that carefully, someone they genuinely loved was an Anglican, but then unequal yoke was wrongly interpreted. And so those people were forced to marry a stranger and left someone that they had a sync with, someone that they genuinely cared about, who genuinely care about them, someone that can protect them, and they go marry the stranger. A couple of them are out of married right now, a couple of them are struggling because they talk to me, so I know. And so here is my take. I am not saying you cannot love who you marry. You can't build friendship with who you marry. It works, right? It's a longer process, right? So one is reactive, the other is proactive. So both sides actually have valid argument. However, right, like Apostle Paul would say, this is what I would prefer. I'm not sure I would recommend for someone to just meet a total stranger, and just go into a relationship with that person. Right? It's gonna work because relationship takes a lot of work. And then am I going to say because you're just friend, go ahead and marry, because there's still a lot of work to do. That's why we give framework. That's why we do a lot of coaching. That's why we sit with people and do premarital counseling. 13 weeks is what I spend preparing people for marriage. And Mommy Mo, the rest of them, Dima, they are doing extremely well. Now, Mommy Mo was writing Mommy, if you don't know Mommy Mo is one of the oldest practitioners in Nigeria, and she's one of the best, actually. She was saying, if you hear a story, a husband will not even pass the test of what you call born again, right? But it's the man had character, he had good values, and they've lived together for 35 or 39 years. They're about, you can't beat that. That is a clear result. You can't beat it. And she said to me, Praise, those of us who marry our friends, you will now go back and be looking for Lord. You can see the man and husband, they are dancing. And that's even anti their culture, right? And so what we're saying is this, please, be careful what you hear on the pulpit. It's not everyone who teaches, because I always tell people, as much as I love pastors, you are not called to teach everything, right? That's what I believe, right? Because if you have not done deep study and you have not done enough research, you will be going above to another extreme, which is going to keep people in trouble. That extreme messed up a lot of lives while we're growing up on campus, and it's looking like it's coming back again, right? And so people who are just friends will go home and say, I'm your Lord. And how people are very, very sensitive to things like that. And then I'm your Lord. And then before you know it, we can't even tell Lord Almighty to get up and help us pick something to, you see, beyond what people teach. Can you observe their life, observe their marriage, observe, especially if the person is a preacher, right? In family life science, we based everything we teach on the methodology and the model researched template that has worked. And it's on that basis we help and assist people to make their relationships work. See, what we want is a marriage that works. We don't, however you do it, whether through friendship or whatever, just make your marriage work. We cannot stand, a spell of divorce or where people leave someone that, it's between grace and work. It comes with ease. It's natural. You are not praying, God, let me love my spouse. Let me love this person. You just know that you just love the totality of this person, and all you care about is how to protect them, how to be with them, how to share with them, how to collaborate, to take decisions. There is less argument. When I make a decision and then it goes bad, we know we took it together because we are friends, right? And so that's what we've researched over time. And that's what I'm going to recommend to singles, please. Normalize building proper friendship. When I meet a single person who says to me, please recommend a spouse to me, I'm asking, how come you don't have singles in your life who share similar values with you? At every point in time, if you want to get married, you should have at least about 10 singles who are values-driven singles, who are your friends. And, even if you close your eyes and marry any of them, you know that your marriage is still going to work if you add knowledge, because what makes marriage work is applied knowledge, right? That knowledge deficit has killed a lot of marriages. So I'm going to appeal to you, right? We want marriages that last forever. We want couples who are able to play together, couples who are able to show the younger generation that marriages work. And so be very careful. Tone it down a little bit. Some of the revelations are just hanging in the air. The rema is hanging in the air. You need to take it easy so that you're not preached out of, what you know to be right. We've had all kinds of generations, and I can trace marital marriages across from the Stone Age. I can trace it now. I think I did that session last year. But what we're saying is, please be careful what you hear. And be careful what sounds like a rev, that at the end of the day, if you look at the practicality and applicability of it, you need to understand that you're a human being living in a normal world, in a real world, a world that has a culture, and understand that you have the culture that you grew up with. In fact, when people say that this is my choice, oftentimes your choice is not your choice. Your choice is often doctored by how you were raised, and there are so many things going on. If you understand neuroscience and the raising of a proper human being, you will understand what I'm talking about. Today is not the day for that. But what I've come to say is that let's build proper friendship. It will help. A brother is born for the day of adversity, but your friend will save you. It's always there for you at every point in time, right? And so, if you're on the side to say, oh, when you marry someone, become a friend and love the person you marry, that's fine, right? But if you're also on this side to say, you know what, marry your friend, please go ahead, marry your friend. But from the two sides, data, right, never lies. Data has shown that the long-lasting marriages are built by, in fact, one of the couples I respect were the Oluwales. Both of them are late right now. Daddy Oluwale and Mommy Oluwale, if you saw them, they threw banters, they joked. I asked them questions, and they told me, how they were friends from childhood, how they got into marriage. As in the true banters, it was so enjoyable, so pleasant. They were not struggling. They were not trying to make it up. It was just natural, right? And the interesting thing is that Daddy died a particular year. Exactly a year after he passed, his wife also died, right? And that's to tell you the bond both of them shared. But by then, I think they've been married for like 43 or 44 years when I was having the conversation with them. So, guys, please run away from every extreme, anything that will upset what you feel, the natural reading that God has placed in you, run away from it so that you can make a full proof of your relationship. And if you're already in marriage and you didn't marry your friend, please cultivate friendship. Go to a salsa club, learn to dance salsa. You will step on each other's toes. That will create a lot of bond because you need that intimacy is called intimacy. That's what we call it. And so if it's intimacy, let me tell you, your friend has seen you finish. He sees the totality of you. Thank you very much. I hope this has been helpful. I will do random videos consistently to address all the issues. And if you need some counseling needs, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can get on my calendar and book a session. And if you want to be prepared for marriage, we have all kinds of solutions available, courses, and some of my colleagues are out there. They're doing incredible work. You might want to work with any of them. Please, this year, 2025, be ready to pay for your sessions. We're no longer doing free sessions. We've done enough of that. Be ready, have a budget to build a marriage that works, build a relationship that works. I hope this has been helpful. Please share this, replay it. I hope it helps you. Please, for those who are taking all those kind of eye-sounding revelation, please, I would suggest sometimes you need to sit down, especially when you are dealing with a specialized information or specialized topic. It pays you to sit down. Everyone has got their strength. It pays you to sit down and say, okay, I'm not a family life professional, right? There's a reason why we have medical doctors. There's a reason why if all you are teaching is the Bible, you can't be using medical terminology. There's a reason people go to school, right? It's so that they can enhance the gifting of the body of Christ. And so don't try to be all in all to everyone. If there are areas, for example, you want to speak on mental health, you have no knowledge of mental health, get in a psychiatrist, get in a psychologist, ask questions. That way you can balance what you are going to take, right? Or at best, interview people. Well, this is what I'm seeing from the scripture. What does professionalism say? What is data saying? That's where we can help a lot of people. Because in Africa, a lot of education goes on the pulpit and people run with whatever they hear. They don't even bother to question it. I pray that God will help us. I call you blessed, and I want you to know that you have all it takes. So if you're single, build proper friendship, because in that friendship, you'll find someone that you genuinely love and you don't have to pretend with, that you don't have to second guess yourself with. Both of you being well for each other. And I pray you find the right people, this year. So that's where I'm going to stop. I love you all. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.